To no one's surprise, reports are coming out that Shannon Sharpe's career with Disney is over. For those who aren't aware, Disney owns pretty much everything.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
If you say that one more time, I'm going to poke the shit out of you when I see you.
Shannon Sharpe just got hit with a public smackdown that nobody saw coming. One moment, he was ESPN's front runner, swimming in million-dollar deals and looking like the polished face of sports media. Next thing you know, boom, Disney and ESPN dropped him like hot coal, and his whole empire started crashing down in real time. This wasn't just some scandal. It was a total meltdown. We're talking hush-hush lawsuits, behind-the-scenes payoffs, and audio recordings leaking like wild. It was chaos. People at ESPN flipped on him fast, and Disney execs scrambled to protect their squeaky clean image. Contracts canceled, deals done.
Usually, companies use a morality clause when they're hiring somebody or considering someone who's potentially going to represent the company in a public way. The purpose of a morality clause is to protect the brand at the end of the day. Everything has to come back to the bottom line, and they have to be able to know that what they put out there is reflective of the brand and what we call in the industry brand safe. Disney is widely known for being very strict.
His million-dollar world started falling apart, brick by brick. And Shannon, he didn't see it coming. Now instead of laying low, word is he's raging behind the scenes. Insiders say Shannon's cooking up some serious payback. So wild it might pull half the network down with him. His reputation's in flames, and it sounds like he's ready to toss a few more matches before he walks out. There's always been something about Shannon that had people raising their eyebrows, but no one wanted to speak on it, because it's Shannon Sharpe, a massive name, successful, respected, but now the mask is slipping, and the whispers are turning into full-on screams. Shannon Sharpe was supposed to be that one dude we all rooted for, but let's keep it real. The game's over. He might bring a lot to the table, but being calculated, that's not really his strong suit. When it comes to football, though, he's got it down. Over 30 years in the game, and it shows, Shannon reads the field like it's second nature, and when the cameras hit, he lights up. Back in the undisputed days with Skip Bayless, Shannon was everywhere. Dude basically owned the internet. His reactions and wild takes were keeping Black Twitter alive during lockdown. So when that show wrapped, of course Stephen A. Smith snatched him up for First Take. That move had power written all over it. Shannon had that whole Southern uncle energy on lock. Brown liquor, cigar, durag, all of it.
In my perfect world, this equates to Jay-Z, where the case ultimately dropped and Shannon is allowed to continue on First Take and continue to thrive and shine. And not just that, and have an illustrious career in the podcast stratosphere, doing Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, doing Club Shay Shay, and ultimately gets this $100 million deal that he was all over the news about to sign just a couple of days before this report came out.
Some folks raised an eyebrow, calling it a little too performative, maybe even low-key corny. But let's be honest. He was funny, he was loud, and he knew how to keep people watching. Most gave him a pass, especially after Club Shay Shay started blowing up. A $100 million ESPN deal was right there, on the table, ready to go. But just like that, Shannon reminded everybody that sometimes he moves without thinking. Now, older men dating younger women ain't exactly breaking news. We've seen it before. Diddy was nearly 40 when he got with 19-year-old Cassie. Eddie Murphy's got enough kids to fill a roster and still went for someone 20 years younger. So yeah, big age gaps, not new. But Shannon, he took it way too far. He was 54, caught up with a 19-year-old. Even Leonardo DiCaprio, who gets clowned for dating young, would have told him, "You wildin'," and that ain't even the worst part. Shannon didn't just have folks raising eyebrows over the age thing. He got caught slipping on audio. Word is, there's a recording where Shannon allegedly told the girl he'd choke her if she kept running her mouth. On tape. Whether the girl baited him or not, the fact that Shannon actually said it just shows he had zero awareness of the situation. Like, come on. And let's not even get into the sex tape mess. Because yes, somehow, there's a whole tape floating around out there. And here's the kicker. Shannon didn't even make her sign an NDA. How is a grown man in his 50s, worth millions, still moving like he's pledging a frat? This ain't new territory for him either. Just last year, he had that viral Instagram moment where his private life got exposed for the whole world to see. You would have thought that would have been his wake-up call to get serious. Hire the right lawyers, lock down his circle, and slap NDAs on everybody. But nope, Shannon kept slipping. Now the fallout is getting ugly. ESPN _ Disney. They're not lifting a finger for him. It didn't even take 2 days for the walls to start caving in. ESPN tried to play it all smooth by saying Shannon was stepping away to handle personal matters. But let's be real, that wasn't a break. That was a quiet boot out the back door. Insiders started talking fast. One source even claimed reports are flying around that Shannon's career at ESPN might be done.
He loved to have his booty played with. That part might not have been everyday sex, but other than that, it was just...
Well, so like you put fingers and tongue in his butt?
Yeah. You know, there were times where I wondered if maybe he was bi, but then I would tell myself, no, that doesn't mean he's gay just because he likes his booty being played with.
Well, do you think you kind of opened up his butt to new experiences?
No, I can't imagine because he already liked.
But hold up. Another person close to production told me he's still showing up for First Take on Mondays and Tuesdays. So technically, he's still got a seat, just not the spotlight. Yeah, it's not looking good for Shannon. ESPN held him down after that first public slip-up. But this right here, totally different story. Whether he's guilty or not, the real issue is, why is he even in this kind of mess at his age? A man with that much experience and money shouldn't be moving like this. Even Stephen A. Smith, the same guy who went to bat for him, had to hop on his own podcast and admit he spoke directly with Disney's top execs. That says everything. Stephen A. knew what was coming. This wasn't some friendly timeout. This was a quiet, slow push toward the exit before the NFL season even kicked off. They weren't protecting Shannon, they were protecting the brand. But when the lawsuit hit the headlines, game over. A $50 million civil suit got filed by a 21-year-old woman accusing Shannon of assault, battery, and emotional distress. Shannon insists the relationship was consensual, but that didn't stop the internet from exploding. Once that court doc dropped, it was curtains. Shannon's team started scrambling to do damage control, claiming it was all mutual and that everything that went down was part of consensual BSM. They're calling it a setup, just another high-profile shakedown. And guess who the woman's lawyer is? Tony Busby, the same legal pit bull coming after Diddy and Jay-Z right now. But none of that damage control mattered, not to Disney, and definitely not to the ESPN staff who started making noise behind the scenes. Word started spreading fast that it was straight-up hypocrisy to protect Shannon when women at the network had been fired for way less. Folks were mad, and they weren't staying quiet. The message was clear. Shannon had to go. The signs were there. It wasn't a matter of if, it was when. But that was just the beginning. Once that lawsuit hit the public, it was like opening Pandora's box. Shannon's skeletons came flying out, and let's be real, his closet was stuffed. First thing to get dragged back up, his type. Shannon's long history of chasing super young, racially ambiguous women got put under the spotlight. And worse, he'd made it a habit to throw shade at black women with class. And nothing highlighted that disrespect more than his cringe moment with Yvonne Orji. Chad Ochocinco tried to hook him up with Yvonne, an absolutely stunning, successful actress who also happens to be celibate. Basically, the kind of woman men say they're praying for. But Shannon, he didn't just pass. He laughed out loud about it. On camera. Total disrespect. And to top it off, he casually name-dropped Miss B Nasty, a white OnlyFans performer, as more his type. There was nothing funny about it. Shannon's reaction was loud, clear, and straight-up cruel. That moment exposed exactly what kind of woman he really values. And it definitely wasn't a black woman walking with dignity and faith. And once the internet started piecing it all together, the pattern became way too obvious to ignore. Gabriela Zuniga, the 21-year-old woman suing him for $50 million, fits the mold exactly. Young, racially ambiguous, and vulnerable. That's been Shannon's type for years, and people are finally calling it out. But Gabriela didn't just accuse him of being controlling. She dropped bombs in that lawsuit. She claimed Shannon secretly recorded her without permission, ignored her safe words, and kept pushing boundaries after she begged him to stop. That's not just scandalous, it's straight up disturbing. And when she tried to leave, Shannon allegedly tried to throw money at the problem, $10 million to buy her silence, but Gabriela said no and went public. And that's when Shannon switched gears, crying that it was all just a shakedown. But by then, the damage was done. People had already made up their minds. And then the audio leaks started dropping. One clip had Shannon allegedly saying something wild, and another, he was laughing about it. Those tapes didn't just hurt his case, they blew it up. Shannon's legal team tried to clap back by pulling up old texts from Gabriela. Texts that supposedly showed she asked for rough role play, dominance, even abuse. But here's the real issue. None of that matters once someone says no. Even if 99% of the relationship was consensual, the moment Gabriella said, stop, and he allegedly kept going, that's game over. Consent ain't some one-time pass. It's got to be active every step of the way. Ignoring that changes everything. And in the court of public opinion, that's where Shannon's already losing. But this isn't just about Gabriella anymore. Once that lawsuit went public, all of Shannon's old skeletons started falling out like dominoes. A new report just surfaced, digging up drama from his undisputed days with Skip Bayless. Word is, Shannon clashed with a female production assistant, and that whole situation allegedly ended in a quiet settlement worth hundreds of thousands. That's not chump change, and it gets even messier. His ex-girlfriend, Michelle Evans, came back into the picture, and she didn't hold back. Way back in 2010, Michelle filed a restraining order against Shannon, saying he assaulted her during a breakup over cheating drama. She claimed he forced her to her knees and violated her without consent. That situation, it quietly led to Shannon getting dropped from CBS Sports. Now it's all coming full circle, and not in a good way. Michelle recently sat down with blogger Tasha K and aired him out. She spilled tea on Shannon's disturbing bedroom habits, his controlling tendencies, and a dark side the public never really saw. And if you thought those Club Shay episodes with Monique and Cat Williams aged bad before, go ahead and rewatch them now, because they hit different today. Monique practically begged Shannon right there on camera to stop chasing after barely legal girls and find a grown woman who could actually love him for real.
You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
She wasn't joking. She was pleading. Then you had Cat Williams dropping warnings, laughing through the truth while saying how risky it is for black men to mess around with young white women. And now, it all looks like foreshadowing. Let's not kid ourselves. Disney and ESPN didn't suddenly wake up with a moral compass. They didn't drop Shannon because they had a change of heart. They dropped him because things inside the building got heated, especially among the women on staff. Multiple insiders are saying the same thing. The double standard was too loud to ignore. Women had been let go for minor missteps, while Shannon, facing serious accusations, was being protected. That sent shockwaves through the company. There was a real fear rising. Fear of a discrimination lawsuit, fear of horrible press, and worst of all, fear that another Me Too level scandal was about to explode under their roof. Disney saw the smoke and didn't wait around for the whole place to burn down. And let's be real, Disney don't care about loyalty. What they care about is shareholders, sponsors, and keeping that family-friendly image squeaky clean. Shannon turned into a liability overnight. And once the women at ESPN started speaking up, that's when things got real. Some of these women were punished for stuff as small as taking a photo with a politician standing too close during COVID. Seriously? And yet Shannon was still on payroll with huge allegations hanging over him? Nah, that didn't sit right. Disney could see a discrimination lawsuit forming like a storm cloud. They knew if they didn't act fast, they'd be in a courtroom real quick. So they did what corporations always do. They cut bait. Now they're calling it a break until football season. Please. In reality, Shannon ain't coming back. And even if he somehow did, that stain isn't going anywhere. The damage is done. What's really tragic? Shannon had the potential to be bigger than Stephen A. Smith. He had the charm, the charisma, the reach to build his own sports empire. Instead, he's out here trying to patch up his public image and it's looking rough. And Stephen A. caught right in the mess. He vouched for Shannon, fought to bring him to First Take, promised it'd be ratings gold. Now he's scrambling to clean his hands, backing away like he don't want no part of it. The mask is off. The receipts are everywhere. Red flags were all over the place, but people ignored them because Shannon was funny, viral, and relatable. But behind the memes and muscle shirts was a man making reckless choices, building silent enemies, and playing a dangerous game with no exit strategy. And now the fire finally caught up with him. Shannon really thought he was untouchable. Too beloved, too polished, too powerful to fall. He acted like the rules didn't apply, like he could keep chasing 19-year-olds and clowning black women who carried themselves with pride, all without facing any consequences. He thought NDAs and hush money could keep the skeletons locked away. But karma don't take no bribes. Now the empire he built is crumbling faster than he can post another gym selfie or thirst trap on Instagram. And if you think this is the worst of it, you better buckle all the way up, because Gabriela Zuniga's team isn't finished. There are whispers of more audio, more texts, and maybe even full-blown videos ready to drop. And if those clips go public, this storm's about to get way uglier. And don't sleep on this. Shannon might not be the only one going down. Word is, some big names could get caught in the crossfire. The next drop, you're not gonna wanna miss it. If you're here for the truth, the drama, and every messy twist still to come, make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video with someone who needs the tea.